Okay, so I guess we're live. Hi, I have the joy of Impactful Female Entrepreneurs Group. Super excited to be here for the episode 3 of Expert Series Kick Off Your Online Confidence. And today we will be talking about mastering relationships with a special guest expert, relationship coach Hayley Pepper. Hayley helps women uncover their irresistible nature so that they can land their dreamiest relationship. Wow, sounds great, Hayley. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Wow, to be slowing down. So, yeah, welcoming you to the talk. Hello, can you
It's
hear
good.
me?
Yeah, yeah, I can. Yeah.
Awesome. So, okay, cool. Yeah, I was just expecting you to say hi, hello. Okay, no problem. So let me just talk a little bit about why we are talking about this topic today. And you might be wondering, what does relationship with your man has anything to do with building your online business? And I need to say it's has to do a lot, with that based on my experience and those women I know at least. And actually, I chose to start this series with the feminine topics on purpose because as women, we believe and mistakenly believe that business is all about masculine and it's pushing and doing more. And so we do a lot of mistakes of that thinking. So we need to understand that building a is crucial for female entrepreneurs. And before we dive into today's episode, I'd like to make an announcement to our audience, those who are watching us live or the recording as usual. Make sure you watch us till the very end because we will be announcing an absolutely awesome gift from me and Hayley. So you would love and me would love to give away today. Alrighty, so now we are ready to go. Hayley, I know for the fact of a story as a woman in your relationship. So why don't you start with sharing with us this today?
So, as we get to a certain age, it started quite a while ago. My big awakening started when I had my daughter. That was when I really realized I was in a terrible place, in a terrible relationship. And that was what started, I started waking up, I started doing a lot of different things. And then fast forward to today, like everything that I learned and I mastered, I get to put into practice. Like I have a really amazing man and we have an amazing relationship. I know it's not a fluke. It is hard work, like working through my stories, my victimhood, my belief systems, my relationships with my mother, my father, my grandparents, my money story, my problems with my ex, like working out my motherhood. Like we've all got so much like piled on top of us, and it's hard. It is like it's sometimes the weight of the world is on your shoulders. And I think it's important that we get that and we get really radically honest about that it's not always easy. There's a big expectation we have on ourselves and other people sometimes have that on us. Like it might be your mom is like, hey, there's X amount of expectations they have on you of being a particular woman or a particular parent, or they might have hang-ups from when you were younger, and it's like finding your way through that mess is hard work. And when you get to the other side, like, it's such a dream. It actually is. And you get to look back and you think, man, I was fighting a lot of stuff back then. Like I had a lot going on in my head. And yeah, it's just such a great place to be sitting here today and to see that growth and to help other women see that as well, like to peel back the layers and realize that underneath it's actually all good. I think we have a fear that if we peel back some stuff, like if we peel back what's going on in our relationships, or whether it's an intimate one with a partner or with our children or with our family, I think there's a great fear that something not good is underneath. And I say it to my daughter all the time, we're good people, but we get to make good or bad decisions. But we start at that foundation as we're good people. But I think across the world, a lot of us have grown up not being quite told that, not being quite told like underneath it all, there's something good. And there's such a fear. It's scary. Like, if you've suffered from like stress or anxiety or anything like that, like it's like it feels like there's something wild going on under there. And if you peel back these problems and really deal with them, like there's going to be either nothing left or something really bad left. And I think that in itself is scary, and we get stuck in our heads about that as well. Like we get really bent up on it, and then we become immobile, and then we have to get up and we have to carry on our day, and we have to be moms, and we have to go to work, and we have to talk to people, and we have to just put on that brave face. And it becomes like very heavy and almost unable to deal with, apart from the magic times when it surfaces.
Right. I can agree more with you here, Hayley, because and I find that whatever you're doing right now, because I'm watching what you're doing online right now, and it really is brave, because you are coming out to share your story and how it was in your relation and how you handle it, and it's absolutely beautiful, because that's where the power lies, really, and it's amazing what you're sharing. So thank you for being so brave and sharing that with us. So yeah. Okay, so yeah, go ahead, please.
It takes a lot of courage, and it's hard. It's hard if you've been through, like if you're divorced, you're separated, you live together for like 5-10 years, gosh, even 1 year with somebody, and there's so much shame and embarrassment, and it's on yourself and then other people. They have such an expectation on you, like you failed. But really, if you weren't happy or it was a terrible relationship, you didn't fail. You got through it. You were successful. You got to the other side. And that's the thing that I think we need to focus on and realize. And when you share from that part of you, and you tell a girlfriend, like I had a girlfriend one day turn up, and I said to two of them that I was really feeling very low, and two of them turned up on my doorstep with flowers. God bless them. But the look on their faces, and like one of them just said to me, "But you look so well." And I think that's part of the problem, because we think that, if you're going to feel terrible on the inside, you can't look good on the outside. And I think that's like that mystery of like when you start to be really heartfelt honest with somebody, and you sit in front of them and you look into their eyes, or you're very honest with everybody in your life, they see that no matter how good you look on the outside, stuff's going on the inside. And it's so healthy to share that.
Right. Hayley, you're such an inspiration, I have to tell you. So please keep on doing what you're doing and inspire, many other women who are still afraid to, speak their story and speak their truth about their relationships. Okay. Awesome. So let's dive right into our today's topic right now. Master your relationships while building your online business basically from home. Okay. So my first question is, what are the challenges in the relationship women get to face while building their businesses, and how to tackle those?
I think one for a lot of women is we're already in day jobs. And so you're going to have a transition and a crossover at some point. And, you might have a normal day where you've got your workspace, and then you've got your home space. And then if you're going to be building a business from home, you're going to have to chip into some personal time, and you're going to have to chip into potentially some relationship time with your man. And that is something that you need to discuss, and you need to be, I think, open and honest about it, and not just sort of like feel bad about taking away time from that. There's going to be a period where you're going to have to do a few things all at once, and some things are going to have to be shifted for a little while, and you need to have open communication about that. You need to have like if you're really tired, like if you're really depleted, like a lot of us get, you need to say, honey, I need to sleep tonight. Or can you, if you've got children, like feed the kids, or can you go to the groceries, or is there any way that you can ask for help, or is there any way you can open, and there's nothing wrong with having this transition, because it's going to take a lot to get through that hurdle of having like a full-time job, starting a business, having a family, having a partner, or even if just having a couple of those things that's hard work, just having, you know, a day job, transitioning into working out how you can run a business if you've got clients on the go, transitioning out of your day job, landing into it, and you've got so much going on, and your intimate relationship and being open and honest can be very key to that staying alive and healthy. Like if you've got a man by your side almost cheerleading you on, like that's an amazing feeling, you know, like go honey, you're like, yes, okay, cool, like, you know, that's just that little bit you need, like whether he's on the other side of the phone if you're doing like a video, or if he's helping you straighten up your hair, or like giving you advice about earrings. Like you need sometimes that bit of support, and just that little bit of something like that just keeps you connected.
All right. Hayley, if you don't mind, I think we experienced really, you know, lots of breaking up. So I'll try to change my location. So stay put, because I can hardly hear what you're saying. So
Okay.
Okay, let me just move to another room and see if that will work. Okay, so everyone will get to see how my apartment looks like. Okay, I'm sorry for that, but we have to do this. Otherwise, it won't be any good for you to listen to us. Okay, awesome. Almost there. Okay. Because we are really on the, you know, on the different ends of the world, right? You're in Australia,
Yes.
I'm in Kazakhstan. So I think that could be the reason. So let me just move closer to the transmitter. All right, and see if that works. Okay, hopefully. Okay. Okay, here we go. So, how? Yeah, can you speak a few words so I can?
Yeah. Are you there? Can you
Awesome.
hear me now?
Awesome. Yeah, I can hear you much better. All right. So, thanks for answering that question. So, I guess we're, you know, moving into really the tips on how to best balance your family life with building a highly successful online business, because we've done it together like last year.
Yeah.
So pretty fresh. So I guess we have so we could share with who are doing or going to do it. So I mean, business.
I would say it's going to take organization and being really honest about time frames and what you really require. I mean, I like to be super organized, and I categorize everything. Like things are color coordinated, things are like drawers are organized, and you need to know where you're at. You can't always be flying by the seat of your pants. Like some of the time it needs that, but for your family to run, for you to have the right amount of sleep, you need to get exercise, having healthy foods. You need to be organized to have healthy food. So like if you don't have a lot of time to cook dinner, you need to work that out. You sort of can't just wing it for a certain amount of time. You get to about 6 months of winging it with your unhealthy meals, and you're not going to get the healthy body that you need. And your body is your asset in some ways for your business. That this is as good as you are, like as much sleep as you get, as much food and your healthy relationships is going to reflect into your business. And I think that requires you to be super organized. Like you need to have help if you need it. You need to outsource. You need to ask children to really do their chores if they're a chore age appropriate. You ask your partner for help, or have different conversations about, like, if you need help in your business and he can help you. There's a lot of ways to be savvy, I guess you would say, and not be surprised, not be surprised by like unexpected bills and unhelpful ways of having difficult discussions or no discussions about it. It's new, so there's going to be new stuff, and so you need to have a bit of a structure, I guess you would say, in place to organize that, to be available for what your daily life is like. You can't wing everything, otherwise not everything will get done.
Great. Thank you, Hayley. So how about that? Like both of us are mommies, right? You know, you're mommy too. I'm a mom of a toddler. So is it possible really to build a business even if you have a kid and the kid is pretty small still?
Yeah,
What's your take on that?
I think it's pretty important. I decided before my daughter was born, I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted that since forever, but it became a bit more solid towards that point. And then the more I learned about like unearthing our psychological belief systems, our biology, our repetitive patterns, our neural networks and connections, and the stuff that we learn when we're children, that was when it became I thought it was very important for me to begin this a lot sooner than I planned. I kind of thought, she'd get to 10, 15 or something, and, I'll do that then. But then it became aware to me, I think about 3 years ago, I need to be doing this as fast as possible, so this is normal. She gets to see me grow a business. She gets to see me be organized and be functional, be successful. And this is normal to her because, between the ages of like conception and age 8, a lot of life patterns are set in. And it is a bit of chaos when you're starting a business and transitioning from your day job. But in my mind, at least, and everything I'd ever learned about like childhood and our belief systems and the habits that we get when we're growing up, it seemed as though it became very critical that I started well before she was 8. So by the time she gets to be 8, she gets to see a lot of like, the effort that you can put into really working. And I think it's really important these days as well. It's just a personal opinion for children to be seeing that, like, you've got to go out and work to earn it. You've got to understand that not everybody comes first. You've got to understand that, being in business is different to being an employee, and there's an option. She may go and choose to do something else. She's seen the inside of what it's like to run a business from home and to work, to get up at 1 a.m. to meet with your sisters that are on the other side of the world, and you've got a training call, like to be up all night for some of those 3-day live events like last year. And she gets to see that, and it becomes a normal part of her life in a healthy way. She's not exposed to the incorrect ways of that, like there's help and stuff organized for her. She's not the one having to stay up or do extreme things. Like, her life was normal, but she saw the work I was putting in. She saw the effort, and that becomes normal for her, that there is effort and there's work and there's reward. We get to go out when Mummy does good.
Right. Awesome. Hayley, like, unfortunately, you're breaking up all the time, and I can only hear 8% of what you say. Do you think it also has to do anything with your internet? Do you think you can do anything?
I'm not sure. It's saying that it's on like full access to the internet.
Sorry?
It's saying that it's on full internet. It's full. I'm right by the thing.
Okay. Yeah, same here. So, but I'm still experiencing trouble hearing you, so it's breaking up all the time, unfortunately. Yeah. So, okay, let's move on. And I just want, this question is very personal to me, well, as to how to communicate with your man effectively so he starts sharing and supporting your vision for your business.
It can be very scary, to be honest. I struggled with it a little bit. I was a little bit embarrassed. I mean, I had been growing my business and learning and training and studying and doing crazy hours to a degree. And then I started dating a really nice man that I really wanted to keep. And so that was sort of like, well, this is going to be a new experience of like sharing something so personal. And I just started small with what I could handle. I mean, it comes down to how you feel. And if you can't handle something, that's not going to be a good communication. And understanding like where I'm coming from. And I felt like, I guess you would say in some ways, I got the opportunity to see me in a different way. Like when stuff was difficult coming up or saying it, I could sit back and reflect a bit and be like, what made that very difficult? Well, I might still be working through something that's like a codependency or working out some kind of like money story issue or something that's going on. And it was a new opportunity, as well as establishing a different kind of foundation inside our relationship. Like it's so important that it's a personal brand. It's part of who I am. To a degree, like I get to turn on and off. Like, so I chose my branding as a different name to my name. I wanted it to be a different part of what I do. It's an actual brand versus my name. And I chose that because that can be part of like who I am in those shoes, like with that hat on, as if you would say. So I get to communicate that part of me, and then I get to be really soft and feminine when I'm with him. I don't have to be like as full on as I have to be, when you've got a coaching client on the phone or on the internet, like right in front of you, and like right when you've got to be there and you've got to hold your power. It gives you the opportunity to step back, and he can be that power, and you in some ways got to communicate that and ask for that as well. And this is part of the journey, like putting that forward to him and being open to what he says in response can be hard, especially when you can take it very personal.
Right. I guess it's really slowly and gradually moves us to the question of what are the key elements of constructive communication with your man? What are that?
Yeah. I think it's really important to understand his communication style. So that, there's a lot of theories out there on these like different personalities. There's different personality types. There's different things of doing. What I do try and keep in mind is women are face-to-face. We communicate very well face-to-face, and men are side-by-side doers. So when I've coached men, quite often face-to-face is too much, and they don't do that so well. And a lot of communication, if you're like looking at how men communicate very effectively together, like a lot of it's not really as much spoken word as women are, and it's side by side. So like sometimes if it might be a difficult conversation or something's happening, you can go for a walk, you can be making dinner, you can be doing stuff that's side by side doing, and have the conversation and being aware of testing the waters, like finding out. Have fun, be a researcher, experiment. Like you get to explore this person, you get to explore this relationship and build what you want between you. You really do. And if you want to have a particular type of communication, work out how and enjoy that, and enjoy being with that person and having that talk and sharing those words and seeing how they react. And you can sit back and you can observe, wow, that person really liked me saying that. Should I say it more? And you get to have that fun in this relationship, no matter at what stage you're at. And this is how you can upstage your quality. Like you get to, like if you're struggling and you're single and you're wanting to like date particular people, you just don't come on so heavy. And you get to wait and to have some of that kind of fun inside the relationship. You get to sit back and have a different kind of fun. And then when you're in a relationship and it's not quite going the way you want it to be going, that's another way where you can address that quality, and you can sit back and say, well, what do I want? What does that look like? How does that sound? And does it have a song? Like, how much fun can you have with this? Like if it's a word or a feeling or an emotion, asking yourself, how much fun can you have? Because your relationship should be fun. They should be inviting. They should be attractive and sexy. And this communication should be the same. You should be laughing at some points and you can be crying the next one. And the full spectrum is acceptable in your relationships. It needs to be. And to have that, well, if he's a side-by-side person, if he's a real man's man and he likes sports and he likes man stuff, beer, talk, not as much conversation, like that type of guy, he's not going to want to have a full-on conversation with you. And that's fine, because if you love him and you want to be with him, or you're not quite in love with him but you would like to be, it's part of accepting who that person is and not wanting to change them and wanting to say, well, how can I do this? How can we have this conversation? You might be better at, like, on the phone, you might be better writing a letter. Like, there is no wrong way apart from if it feels bad. It should feel good. And it should feel good to the degree where if you're having an uncomfortable conversation with them, your man kind of catches you in a way. Like, you can, get kind of emotional and heavy, and he's going to be there to save you in a particular way. I think, like, the old school version of saving is, like, it can be in conversations these days. It can be, he's there to say, it's okay. You're allowed to be who you are. And then, that's when you really shine. That's when you're like, who I am is okay, because you shared that with him and you worked out how, and you got to have fun doing it. And then you got to learn more about him and your relationship and ways that you can communicate. And it shouldn't be a chore. It should be one of the funnest things you do, is communicating with this person, because it's such a blessing. It's such a pleasure. You get to enjoy this person and enjoy this space, like the space between you two. You get to build on that. You get to love it. You get to play with it, almost like Play-Doh. And you get to, like, is it music? Is it a color? Is it a taste? And you get to, like, really play around with that. And then a song might come on that reminds you of that particular conversation, and it'll feel so good. And you get to, like, build on that together, because there's a person on the other side of what you're saying, and that person counts so much that you're willing to work out how to communicate best with them.
Right. That's very insightful, Hayley. Can't agree more. There's some points, like, I couldn't stop laughing because you're just describing exactly what I'm handling with, like, what I have here and my relationship. That was funny. In the room and watching right now. So my next question is, and I think this question gets to be asked a lot, and when on that route and road to, her personal development and really discovering herself. So how to handle the situation when you start to outgrow your man? When you I guess you understand the question. I don't need to relate to specific. So what's the advice, how to handle that situation?
I think there's a couple of ways. And I've had this conversation. I had it a lot last year. Like, my last year was a lot about that kind of foundation stuff. And I think it's so hard. I'm a bit judging about it, and that's only because I don't know, like, I feel like we work so hard on ourselves, and we're so hard on ourselves that I don't think, to a degree, there's a way to outgrow your man. Like, he's your intimate relationship, and if you're growing and you're on this path, you're going to be sharing what you're reading, you're going to be sharing your books, you're going to be sharing what you're watching, like particular TV shows or movies, or what you're going on in your business and how you're feeling. And you're going to have conversations throughout the day, I would hope, that are going to be along the nature of, like, how you feel and who you are and where you're going with what you're doing. Like, if you're doing a particular course, sharing content of it and sharing, like, what comes up, sharing, like, if you do a cleansing letter, like you write a letter out and you're going to burn it, you can share that process with your man. You can share the things that you're going through. And I think you get to assess in a nice way. If you feel like you're outgrowing him, what does that really mean? Like, if you feel like you're outgrowing him, assessing why you feel that way and what's going on. Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah. It disappeared for a second.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So I think some of it comes down to, like, if you feel like you're outgrowing your man and you have that come up, like we have these thoughts and they're sort of like random flying around. We think far too much in our heads. If that comes up for you, sitting back and thinking, well, if I have the expectation on him and that's coming up for me, the key here is this is coming up for me. Unless he's brought it to you and he's put it on the table, like we're outgrowing each other, that's a slightly different, obviously, way of dealing with it. But if it's coming up for you, sitting back and saying, well, this is coming up for me, I feel like I'm outgrowing him. And sitting with that, where does that come from? What makes you think that? Like, was it something somebody else said? Does it really apply to you? Does it really apply to your relationship? And then assessing your relationship, like, if you did a course and you really took humongous strides away and deep inside that course, you disconnected in a kind of way from your intimacy with him if you've started to outgrow him. And you can reconnect. There is nothing that you can't work through. Everything is workable. You just need to make that decision, like big life events that can be extremely traumatic, like somebody was cheated on you and that was part of it. Like, you still get to decide if you love that human being, like, because people are good underneath it all. Like I think we said at the beginning, like it's you're underneath it all, you're a good person, and we get to make good and bad choices, and we get to assess where they come from, how do they feel, what's coming up for me. Like, some people like to journal, some people like to dance or do exercise and work it through your body and not ignore it. And then once you feel you're at a place where you're not going to explode at your partner, you can bring it up. But if you feel like you're going to explode at him, don't. Work out for you what's going to feel good. What kind of woman do you want to be when you turn up to communicate with that man? Like, this is your partner. This is your intimate connection and your relationship with space between you guys that you get to build. Who do you want to be when you talk about that important topic? Who do you want to be when you talk about the important person you feel like you're becoming? Who is that woman who turns up and has that conversation? Is she somebody who turns up and spits it at him? Because it's not going to go down well no matter what kind of man he is, a communicator. And it's not going to be coming from a high woman. And you do have to do your work, and you've got to work out where that's coming from. And if it's still really heavy, what else can you do? And explore that. And it's okay to feel those emotions, and it's okay to feel like, because there is potential you might have outgrown him in some way, shape or form. But to do that, you've released something. Like, your connection is not as strong. You're not talking, I don't know, let's say you're both working really hard and you're talking in the morning and at nighttime only. What are those conversations you're having in the morning and at night? Is it just boring routine, like who burnt the toast? Or is it really life-changing stuff that you're working through? If you've outgrown him to a degree, the stuff that you're working through in those conversations, because he's your partner. He is your connection, and that space between you is so important. And you both get to grow that. And obviously it's a little bit different if he doesn't want to grow it. But we're talking about amazing men here because they are all amazing in their own way, shape and form. And we get to assess who we are when we turn up. We get to assess what's coming up. We get to assess, who do I want to be now that this has come to the surface? Or, sitting down and doing the work by Byron Katie, like asking that question and going through the steps and turning it around and saying, I feel like I've outgrown my man, and getting to the step where my favorite one is, who would I be without that thought? What would change here? How would I talk to my man if I didn't have that thought? How would I feel physically? Because men are so sensory orientated. He can feel your energy. And if you're turning up tight, stressed over this one topic, and you take that out of there, who do you become then? Your awesome, yummy self that he fell in love with. And then you get to have the conversation when you're not having that thought that there's a problem, but there's a subject there to talk about. You're not attached to the outcome. You're not attached to what came up or turning it around, another part of the work, like saying, I feel like I've outgrown him. Like, what if he's outgrown you? How does that feel? Like trying that on. And then also you get to, depending on how that goes through your mind, you get to look at his perspective. Because if you take that to him, he's gonna hear that from you. He's gonna hear that you're saying, I'm bigger and better than you. And if you're turning that around and he's, role playing in your mind, if he says that to you, how does that feel? And how do you want that to be received on the other end? And so much work can be done with this, and you can get to grow so much, and you could grow with your partner so far by having that thought. So it's not, I don't think it's a negative thing that it comes up or you feel that, but it's an opportunity to make really big steps forward, especially if you do feel that way in your business and with your man and your partnership.
Wow, that's really, really powerful, Hayley. Like, I really love the idea of that you actually turn that to yourself and, start being in charge and start being in control of the situation and, really low down the expectations and, trying to change that person, but really going deep inside of yourself and basically taking the charge of the situation. I love that. And then another piece of being compassionate, just always assume that this person is good, that his soul is pure, that, just assume that. And, when you see that energy, like everything else really doesn't matter. I really love that metaphor. Like, thank you for bringing this up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we love them. Oh, they're such yummy human beings, and we're with them for a reason, and that still counts. I know that when you get with somebody, it does become about the past, but you're with that person for a reason. You're having this experience for a reason, and that's a blessing. Oh, and just, bless them. They're just such yummy creatures, and they do want to please us. Gosh, they want to please us. Like, the biggest blessing, I think, in some ways, was coaching with men and sitting with men and getting their hearts out. Like, gosh, they want to please women. And researching into this stuff, like, no matter what, we are a lot to deal with sometimes, and it is hard. And when we get to unpack ourselves, because we're that powerful, we can unpack what's going on, and we can bring this beautifulness to the table, and he's just going to love it all up. He's just going to be like, yes, I am with her. Yes, we worked through that. And, that's going to give him so much confidence in you, that you can work through stuff. He'll stand taller. He's going to be so much more prouder to be with you. He might hug you tighter. It gives you that opportunity to really be with that person and quite rawsome, like really in there. And it is hard, but when you remember that person standing in front of you or sitting in front of you, and if you are looking into each other's eyes or you are holding their hand, that's magic. You got to this point with this person, and no matter what the subject is, you can handle this. He can handle this. Like, this space between you guys, it is so yummy and such a blessing. And we get to pick. And that's why I say your dreamiest, dreamy relationship. Because as far-fetched as it may seem, like, the perfect man exists already today. He is alive and well. He is not a baby, age roughly roundabout. You already exist. You already exist. You are already the perfect people. You just get to pick how. It's like how you can cook a potato. There's more than one way. You can have the skin on, you can take the skin off, you could stripe it, you could clean it, you could leave the dirt on it, and that's not even going anywhere near the cooking methods or cutting it. And it's the same thing. We're so changeable, and we get to pick. And we're living in such an emotional time. And when we really grasp it, this is not like survival, like, shelter and food. This is emotional survival, and like shifting that gear over and going, this emotional survival of like growing these businesses and being with these men and realizing that man is a very powerful man if he's with you. Like, you're growing a business. That thing in itself is kind of like, yeah, it takes strength for him to be with me. And I did choose him and he did choose me. And like bringing it back to that bit where you're like, well, that's a good place to start from. We're there already. And everything else on top, you get to pick, and you get to pick how. And like, like what sound does it make? Is there a special song for it? Is there like a smell or a taste or some kind of beautiful memory you can make? Because that's your choice, like every bit of it.
Wow, this is really empowering and inspiring. Like, you have so much passion talking about it. Like, the words you're using, I'm just really blown away here. So really enjoying the conversation with you, Hayley. But unfortunately, we have to wrap it up, and I cannot thank you enough for joining in today and sharing your wisdom and your experience with us. So why don't you just, and tell the audience, what would you like to give away as a special gift to our audience today?
Okay, well, given this conversation, my favorite thing would be to do, I've got a 45-minute irresistible conversation. And so it's just getting on Skype or just getting on the phone and just talking and just getting this out and feeling trusted and supported and getting through some of this stuff. Like, I know we get so much in our heads, and how about letting that go a little? And who would you be showing up as? And if I can gift that to a woman who is growing her business, who has a family, who is single or dating or married, it doesn't matter. You're so crucial. Like, whether, like, I was writing it out today and I was saying it to somebody yesterday, we're the future. We are. We grow babies. We raise babies. We are the founders of these relationships. We interconnect so much of this network, and putting in the time and effort means we're putting in the time and effort into our lives, into a man's life, into our children's lives, into our friends, into our co-workers, and into our clients. And having that support and knowing you can let it all out, your beautiful stuff is going to fill that space. And so a 45-minute irresistible conversation, a heart-to-heart, check talk to check talk, like whatever needs to come out, it needs to come out. And I would be so honored to be having more of these with women. Absolutely.
Awesome. Sure thing. We'll be sharing the link in the comments in this thread of this video. So, and as usual, you can claim your free business strategy session with me, your host, Diana Joy, if you'd like to get traction and immediate results in your life coaching business. Find the links in the comments for this thread for both Hayley's and my giveaway. So once again, thank you so much, Hayley, for joining us today. It was a great pleasure and a great talk indeed. I really enjoyed it. So, all right, so take care, and I'll be just sharing what will be our next topic next week. We'll be back with a successful six-figure female entrepreneur, Beata Gal, on importance of unleashing your desires to grow your online business as a female entrepreneur. Thanks for watching us today. Take care and bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, yeah, I just end the live broadcast. Oh gosh.